Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Friday Food Fight. I am your host, Bart Christian, and we're happy to have our very special guest here today. And as always, we've got my co-host, Bart Christian, nationally recognized speaker with us. And the special guest that we're going to be welcoming to the show today and getting some insight on what's going on in school districts is Miss Lindsay Aguilar. And Lindsay is the registered dietitian and certified school nutrition specialist. She is also the administrative dietitian for the Tucson Unified School District, and she's worked with Tucson Unified for, I believe, more than 15 years now. So Lindsay has a passion for child nutrition that no one can question, and she is also an active member of the School Nutrition Association and is on the executive board of the State Association. So let's welcome our guest and get things going today. Welcome, guys. How's everything?
Oh, it's great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for being on the show. So you've been working with Tucson Unified for the past 15 years. Is that correct? Did I get those numbers right?
Yes, that's correct.
I think it's fair to say that what's been going on in the past couple of months probably blows the past 15 years out of the water in terms of crazy times.
Absolutely. Yeah, this one will go down in the history books for sure.
Absolutely. Yep.
I gotta add something. I watching you two, seeing you two makes me feel so old. Wesley, I've watched you grow up in the industry, obviously as my son for the last 20 years, really. And Lindsay, I think I met you when you were an intern at in Phoenix many years ago. You and your good friend Aaron, and you were both interns there, and that was many moons ago. And I'm sitting here, I'm going, oh God, I remember you two as kids, and I'm going, oh my God.
It's so true.
Well, time definitely flies.
It's like the mafia. Child nutrition is like the mafia. It gets you in, it doesn't let you go.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Well, Lindsay, in the past 15 years, you've obviously seen a lot of changes and you've grown with the district. And I actually saw something in your bio that said that you are an alumni of Tucson Unified.
I am. Yeah.
That's got to be cool for you.
I went to all TUSD schools. So yeah, it's kind of a unique connection that I have to the district, and it's pretty. I remember when I first started in the district, one of my first outings on a site visit, I went to a high school, and I literally got stopped in the hallway asking for a hall pass. That was hysterical. But yeah, so it's pretty neat to kind of full circle back to where I started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool. Obviously things change over time, and as we talked about just a second ago, these past couple of months have been a little bit crazy for all of us. Let's dive right into it, because I'd love to know what you're doing over at Tucson Unified as far as delivering meals right now with these kind of unprecedented times that we're currently living in.
Yeah, so we started the week after our spring break. So on March 25th, we started grab-and-go meals with 12 bus routes. So we had 114 bus stops across our district. Our district is 225 square miles, so we covered pretty much the majority of the Tucson area, and certainly all of our district. And we did breakfast and lunch at one time, so our buses were out between 10 and about 1:30 every day. So actually today is our last day of those bus routes for the school closure, and we have served just over 330,000 meals over the last 2 months to our community. And then we're starting back up on Tuesday with a revised summer bus route. So we're going to do the same concept, just instead of 114 stops and 12 buses, we'll have 6 buses with 77 stops.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, for people that might not be familiar with the grab-and-go term, what exactly is served? What types of variety of meals and items are you serving in those grab-and-go lunches?
Yeah, so we have been utilizing all prepackaged items. So fortunately for us at TUSD, we had incorporated kind of a 50-50 model over the past 2 years. So we're doing half of our entrees as house-made, assembled items that we're making in our kitchens, and then we have incorporated prepackaged items. So we were fortunate that we had quite an inventory. We have a centralized warehouse, so we have been able to run our program off of the 5-week inventory that we had coming into the school closure. So we weren't in the situation that I know a lot of districts across the country really had challenges getting prepackaged items. So because of our centralized warehouse and just our size, and that we do have typically about 5 weeks worth of inventory, we've been able to utilize that. So, we're doing bean and cheese burritos, corn dogs, cheeseburger sliders, grilled cheese, and then breakfast items. We've been offering cereal and bagels, and now we're transitioning to some pancakes and French toast items for our summer program, and then fruit cups, a fruit and vegetable juice. So we've been able to kind of offer a nice variety and a lot of the items that our kids really do enjoy. So that's been nice for us to be able to continue that.
And you mentioned that you haven't really seen much of a shortage as far as the food that you guys have had due to the size of the district. What about items that are not related to food? Have you guys seen any issues with getting the actual bags to deliver the lunches in, or any type of boxes or any of those items?
Yeah, the one item that we have had a challenge receiving was shelf-stable milk. So we did have a large inventory of that, but it ran out probably after the first month or so. So we had to transition to regular fluid milk. So that is the one item. Hand sanitizer for our buses has been a challenge. So we had an alternative plan for that.
Well, let me ask you a question, Lindsay. As you've seen parents, as you're seeing parents out in the buses and whatnot, what is the response of the parents to the fact that you're bringing food and to the type of food the kids are receiving?
Yeah, that's actually been it's been overwhelmingly positive, and just the feedback we're getting, kids making cards and pictures and, drawing chalk at the bus stops on the sidewalk to thank us and our staff, and hanging signs. And, we even had one family that made T-shirts for the staff on the bus to wear that said TUSD United. And so it's just been overwhelmingly positive. And I think the other factor is just the coming together and collaborating with our transportation department and our school safety. We have school safety officers and crossing guards that have been out at our bus stops. So just working together with those departments in such a positive way and impacting our students and community, I think that's been my favorite part. And I know the staff, it's been really nice for our staff to get the positive recognition that they often unfortunately don't receive. So we have parents emailing and sending letters, and it's been very heartfelt for our staff to be acknowledged in that way.
It's so funny that before this all happened, you would hear about that one odd parent that would make a Facebook post, or you hear about those two odd parents that would call and complain about something. You never heard about the 330,000 meals being served that were being received properly. I for one person think that we're going to be elevated as an industry to such a high level in the district, because we've really demonstrated that the teachers aren't essential, the food service workers are essential, because they're the ones that have had to go to work. Not that teachers are not important, because they are essential, but they're able to do their work from home, and your crew's on the front line every single day. And I think the community is really going to appreciate and see that. I'm just really excited about what the future holds for child nutrition.
No, I agree. And I also think, to your point about the parents being exposed to the food, I think that's also been a really positive kind of unintended consequence from this whole, thing, right? But that they've been actually able to see, every day, taking their kids to the meal stops and seeing the food that they're getting. And, we're not serving mystery meat and all of those,
never
things
have.
That school lunch often has those misconceptions. So I think the food quality and just being able to see the types of items that we offer to their students, I think has been a really nice impact for everybody to experience.
Exactly.
So in these times, what exactly are you doing with your staff to kind of keep them engaged and keep them motivated on a daily basis?
Yeah, so for us, we have just over 200 site employees that are in our school kitchen. So What we did during the closure, we obviously didn't need all 200 on the bus routes and in our central kitchen facility. So we did a rotation, a weekly rotation. So we had groups of people assigned to our kitchen to do our meal bag assembly. And then we had the groups of staff assigned to the buses for the meal distribution. And then we had groups of staff rotating to work from home. So we utilized this time to really educate and train our employees. So, the school food handler has been amazing to our staff to utilize during this time and keep them working and having meaningful work in areas that they could absorb more information. So they did a lot of professional development training. We also utilized some other areas too. The Institute of Child Nutrition was something I assigned staff from home, which I got a lot of feedback that they really enjoyed. Learning about the history of the National School Lunch Program. And then our district actually has like a historical section on their website. And I had them actually review all the history of TUSD. And that was kind of another area that I was surprised that a lot of our staff reached out to me, just saying that they really enjoyed learning about the history of the district, and they do a really good job with some stories and archives and stuff like that. So it's been a combination of food safety training and nutrition education, and utilizing our State Department website as well for some of their trainings on the meal pattern. So I think a lot of people have provided some feedback to me that they really, in light of all of this, they actually enjoyed being able to have time to, expand their knowledge in all of these areas and take time to do the trainings and do all the trainings on school food handler. We had them complete every single training that was on the website. So thank you all for having those great resources available for us to use.
Well, of course, that's impressive if they've completed all of them, because I think we've got over 150 or so trainings on there. So that is quite the feat to accomplish.
Our logs are going to look pristine for this year. Our training hours are off the charts.
Yeah.
I was talking with a group of people yesterday and talking about training and about how many companies don't appreciate how they can take advantage of this time like you've done to prepare for next year. Your staff's going to come back more knowledgeable, more educated. They're going to feel better about themselves and the job they do, because that's a direct result of the investment people make in training. And I see so many people that when the economy takes a downturn or the budgets become tight, those are things they cut out. And the next thing that suffers past training is customer service and performance and product quality. And it's just, I think that is quite impressive that y'all have gotten all those things done. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think to your point also, just the confidence, I think, that they can come into next year. And I also had a lot of people reach out just saying they didn't realize, like, wow, Lindsay, we had no idea all that goes into coordinating the programs, or, so I just think it's been a real benefit for our staff to kind of have a stronger knowledge base and, expand. We have, people that have worked, in school nutrition in our district for over 20 years. And I think just, even those people are being able, exposed to some areas that they normally wouldn't have the opportunity to learn about. So I think, I've tried this whole time to just look at the positive, although it may not be what they wanted to, what they love to do every day. They all wanted to come back. It was really hard for a lot of our staff to be working from home on the computer. But I also think another kind of unintended consequence that I've seen from this whole experience is just, it's really given our employees a lot more confidence in technology. We kind of just we had a couple days to get all this organized and get all of, 200 people set up to work from home and distribute tablets if they didn't have a computer, and send constant weekly, email assignments of professional development and what trainings online that they could review. And I think for a lot of these people, we had our technology support team for food service, helping them through it, because for a lot of our staff, just checking their email is something that they're not comfortable with, or logging on to the internet and navigating websites. So I think that's something that I appreciate from this whole experience, is I think now our department's going to be able to really utilize a lot of technology in ways that we hadn't prior to this, because, our staff is more confident. They've had exposure in areas that they never have before. So
What type of other technology related tools have you guys been implementing over the past couple of months? I know you mentioned tablets. Have you guys found any other software that might be useful to other districts that you'd like to share?
No, I mean, for us, I think a lot of it was just, sending website links for people to, to navigate and click. They were, watching videos, looking through PowerPoint presentations, and Zoom. We've used Zoom more for, the central administrative staff, not so much. But I could also foresee that that would be something that we would utilize down the road for our staff, trainings and just being able to connect with our employees at our sites more often than just quarterly when we bring them all in for in-service training. So I know Zoom has been a very common one, and that is the platform that our district is using, but we're also utilizing the Office 365. So our district has that program that they, over the last couple of years, have been kind of slowly pushing out and trying to encourage departments to tap into those resources more. And so that is something that we've definitely used. We did a lot of surveys through Office 365 where I sent survey links out to staff where they could fill out, get feedback. Like, this is our time to, get their feedback. We got feedback on training guides. I had them review all of our staff new hire training guides. How would we want to adjust those and make them more, fruitful for our new employees? We did a lot of folders with files that we could access and have people look at. So I think that's an area too that I'm definitely planning on moving forward in other ways, that it's just much more efficient and we can share information in a better way with our kitchens. So again, some positive things that have come out of it, at least for us.
In the past years, pre-COVID and everything, did you all do any type of professional development day to start the year off, or because you had mentioned new hires and getting those individuals onboarded? How did you handle that in the past, and what do you anticipate being the future for getting those new hires kind of up to speed on where they need to be to start the year off?
Yeah, I mean, normally in the past, they would go through the district onboarding process, so that will stay the same. But there is some training that they receive at the district level, and then once they start with us, the new hire training was just all in the kitchens. We had a training guide that was completed for staff to go over certain areas and sign off. So I think I think from this and the feedback that we're getting from our staff looking at the training guides, we'll definitely look to incorporate some more interactive and some technology pieces. I think that videos is something that I'm definitely interested in, putting together some trainings that include more realistic videos of what our kitchen setup is and service and those areas to make it a more effective piece for our new hires, because we don't have the capacity. We don't bring them all in at one time. We're hiring so many people throughout the year, and they all start at different times. So we rely on our sites to complete that training. So utilizing.
And I know that I've been blessed to be able to speak to your gatherings of your. I think the first talk I ever gave was to Tucson Unified School District many years ago, and I know that we've done that a few times since. Where do you see that kind of meeting going? What do you see happening for those large gathering beginning of the year in services for either managers or segments of a team?
Bringing everybody in large groups, especially for start of school. We're preparing for that we need to keep groups to 10 and under and those things at this moment in time. But even moving beyond that, I do think that from this whole experience, we've definitely captured that you can still have effective meetings and interactions. I do think it is important, and our staff really loves to be around each other. So I think that, human contact is definitely needed. But I do think that we can do some hybrids and smaller groups and utilize, the technology to have more consistent interaction with our employees instead of waiting to do it once every quarter. We could set up, things more consistently. But yeah, I definitely think this is going to change our, staff meetings and trainings and in-services moving forward for sure, and across our district as well. I think, it's something that it's going to I keep telling people that, our education system is going to be forever changed from this entire experience. So we're in the trenches of that right now, and I know everybody is, and what the future is going to look like. So I think, it's not gonna be the same. But I also think it's gonna be okay, and it's positive things are gonna come out of this, and I think we'll all be stronger and have even better programs and more efficient programs because of things that we're going to have to do.
One thing that I see out of this and talking to directors, and I see that many people would have those large gathering meetings at the beginning of the year, and then they have maybe another one in January, but nothing in between. And they found themselves in January often reviewing a good bit of what they talked about in August or July because of the attrition of, not, people just forget stuff. And I've talked to a lot of them that are excited about the opportunity now to put together and really and things, rather than getting that 5 hours in July and then 5 hours in January. And I think we're going to see a higher level of child nutrition superhero than we've seen before because of it.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. And I think especially for, in our district, because we are a larger district with 80, we have 86 schools. So I think, traditionally, we're only capable of bringing everybody in, 4 times a year. And so we kind of know that, certainly has helped, progress and continue providing that educated with our staff much more consistently. And I think instead of, feeling like how can keep, them feeling more supported and connected with our central office, and that disconnect and, communication is something that's so important to our programs and everything that we do. So
in front of this thing, like you're talking in front of your phone. We've all got comfortable in front of a camera. So now it's going to be so much easier for you through a system like what you're using to make a personal message to the entire staff, and you talk to them directly instead of from a stage in front of a bunch of people. And that is becoming the new normal for connection. And I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, Lindsay, when you're looking at budgeting for this upcoming year and you're planning for the school year that's just a couple of months away, I would imagine that things might have changed a little bit as far as your priority list is concerned. What types of things are you considering this year when you're looking at this upcoming year that might be different from years previous?
Yeah, I think at this point, the priority for us right now is just, devising our reopening plans. So, I'm working on kind of the 4 phases, like, we're working on traditional students coming back, a hybrid model of some in their schools, some online, being because of some of the protocols and changes that our district is going to have to make, potentially that some kids would be scheduled in the school building. The challenging part and my concern, of course, is, what is this going to do to our participation levels? So, and how can we, if we do have a percentage or population of our students that are going to be, online from home, how can we still encapsulate providing meals to those students? So I think not just for food service, but for education in general. So I think, participation levels are definitely a priority concern. And then, of course, our budget, as far as our revenue loss that we've experienced, tremendous losses as we conclude this fiscal year. What are our school enrollment numbers going to look like? We're in the process of doing a big district survey as far as, our family is going to be ready to come back in the fall. Do they feel safe? But I think there's just so many unknowns that, I think a lot of it is how this whole, last few months has been running, just very kind of decisions are going to have to be made quickly. And, you can plan for all of this, and then it's going to be the constant change and adjustments that we're going to have to make. So I think, at this point, I think that's the hardest budgeting piece, is because there are just so many unknowns. And, our meal service models are been running a kind of a self-serve model at our elementaries where we package all of the food. So that is to our advantage, I think, coming into this with the kind of we're going to have in place. But is that going to be in the cafeteria or in the classroom? Can we still have curbside for those families that are working remotely? So I think, and unfortunately, a lot of plans that we might have had for next year with maybe equipment or, our truck fleet, those kind of things are going to have to be put on hold because of, the situation that we're in now.
Or do you see any of those procedures carrying into this upcoming school year? Maybe things like, mask requirements, additional cleaning procedures. What types of things are you planning on right now? I know the future is, we don't know exactly what to expect, but are there any things that you're for sure going to carry on into this upcoming year?
Employees that are going to be serving the public or working around others. So I think, for start of school, that's something that I'm preparing for, that, our staff is most likely going to need to wear masks, when they're interacting with students and and their staff. I certainly think, some additional cleaning protocols and disinfecting and, taking those extra precautionary steps that we've been doing. It's something that we're going to continue to carry forward. And I think also just kind of looking at, how some of our kitchens are set up and spacing and, some of our flow is something that needs to be reviewed, because if we are going to have to be mindful of still trying to, distance ourselves when we can. I mean, I know it's not always possible, but that's something that we did during this time for our centralized kitchen facility. We actually had, place markers set with tape on the ground at our assembly lines to keep, everybody 6 feet apart, and really trying to be mindful of that in our operations. So I think looking at our footprints in our kitchens and, what adjustments might we be able to make is something that we're going to be working on.
And now, is there anything, we're getting kind of close to the end of our food authorities or just school nutrition workers out there that you might have ran across that is either really successful in your operation or something that you all are planning on implementing for this upcoming year?
I mean, I think sometimes kind of be a silo, not always, but in some districts, I know that can be the case. So I think just ensuring that you're connecting with your district and being involved, insert yourself if you're not, being included in decisions. And, this has to be a district partnership with all departments. This is affecting everybody. And I think just making sure that you're not feeling like you're in a silo by yourself, and, you've got to connect with operations and, all these other areas to ensure that you're being consistent with, what your district is doing, and just being, flexible, creative. I know, change is hard for a lot of people, but I think we just have to look at the greater good and what we're doing and the important role that we have for our students and community, and with distributing, food boxes and produce families with, our food bank partners, and, other getting educational resources out to families through our grab and go meals. So I just think just opening yourself up to, maybe partnering with people that
Lindsay, can you hear me? I'm not sure what happened there. And we might have had them drop off. If they are able to hear me, then I am not sure what happened there. But if I am still streaming here and everyone is able to see me, I apologize for that technical difficulty. And we will try to see if we can get them back here. I'm not seeing anything. Well, unfortunately, I think that they have dropped off of the call. So with that, I guess that will be the end of our show for today. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties, but We will be back here next week and try and figure out exactly what ended up happening here, and we'll get this all squared away. But we appreciate you tuning in this week, and we hope that you all have a wonderful weekend. I'm Wes Christian, and we'll see you again next Friday for Friday Food Fight. Take care.